Hello, everybody. It's great to have you again back here for this awesome time. And I just want to encourage you, if you're chiming in or if you have actually logged on here, please can you tell us where you are watching from? I would love to see some response from our viewers out there. Kindly tell us where you're watching from. So whilst you are waiting for the comments to go live, I want to welcome you all to today's event, Couples Life Exclusive. And we are considering the theme barriers to barriers to a blissful sex life. Wow, I almost, started there. Wow. So this is our anniversary month, and we have decided to gift to people out there, couples out there, after a series of conversation we've been having with them. And a lot of people tend to be struggling on this side. So today we are going to be talking about barriers to a blissful sex life, and we have a guest today. But before we bring her on board, let's just tell you a little bit about who we are. So if you're joining us now, please do tell us in the comment section where you're watching from, where you're chiming in from, what you do. It'll be great to know you, and welcome. We just want to welcome you specially.
Yeah.
So my name is Amara.
And my name is Gospel.
Yes, and that's my lovely husband. Yes. So do you want to say something before I carry on?
Yeah, I just want to say it's so wonderful to have people joining in from different parts of the world. In fact, we always say to people, tell us where you're watching from. And someone will be wondering, you guys are not even telling us where you're,
that's true. We haven't
where
told
you're
them.
Streaming from.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are here in the United Kingdom, isn't it? This is where we live, but we know there is no barrier. We're all in a virtual space, and we can reach out to anyone, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, the issue of marriage is very serious, not just to us, but to God, to those involved. And we've taken it seriously because we know that the only way we can actually help people out, we don't know what is happening in your marriage. If you're married, if you're single, we don't know your expectations, we don't know what you're thinking about, we don't know where you are at the moment. But we look at the world we live in, and you can see that people are struggling to have that wonderful marital relationship. Some people are having beautiful relationships. I must tell you, some people are enjoying their marriage. And we are one of those couples who enjoy their marriage. And we try to reach out to as many people as possible to let you know that it is possible to have a beautiful, a successful, a wonderful marriage. But all you have to do is to follow the right principles. And we've been doing this for a long time. Even before we got married, we've been talking about how to have a blissful marital relationship. And we meet people one-to-one, we counsel people, we coach people, we do a lot of stuff, But we think in the area of sex, you can, obviously, for those of you that go to church, is not a topic that everyone wants to talk about. It's not something we jump at, In fact, I posted a video on just a snapshot of what we did last weekend.
Yes.
I was expecting people to make comments. Obviously, people saw it. And everyone was running from making comments. Because that sense of, if I comment now, someone would think, I like sex. If I comment now, someone would think, maybe, why am I here? There is no taboo around sex from God's point of view, because God loves sex.
Yep.
Someone will wonder, why would you say that? Yes, God loves sex, because if he didn't like sex, he wouldn't have created it. When he created everything, he said, I've made things that are beautiful, including man. So that's the point. God loves sex.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing. That's why we're talking about it. The problem is what people do when it has to do with sex.
Yes.
And we want you to enjoy it in your marriage, because God also wants you to enjoy it in your marriage. He wants you to have this early in the morning ride with your spouse, and when you wake up, you feel like, you know, you're so close to each other.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
even from a physical point of view.
Yes, yes. No, I don't want to say much because we have a guest today.
Yeah, we'll bring in our guest. So I'm just so
recap. You're so
I'm
excited.
just so excited on this topic because the one we did last week, I've gotten so many feedback from people saying, who is that guy? Where did you get that guy from? He's so blunt, you know, and he said it the way it is, so raw.
Yes.
I don't want to. The fact if you missed it, you missed, but you still have an opportunity to catch up. All you have to do is just go to our YouTube channel.
Yes, it's on there. I'll put the link on this video as well, so that you can catch up on that. So please, if you're chiming in to this conversation, tell us where you're watching from. It'd be great to know who we've got in the room. We want to welcome Foundation for Family Affairs. Thank you guys, always supporting us. It's always good to see you. Amicable, you are warmly welcome. It's great to see you. And we've got our guest today as well. Oh wow, I think she is currently on the YouTube channel, so she will be joining us right now. Very soon we will be having her. So please, if you're here, tell us where you're watching from, and it would be great to get to know you. And also, if you can, join the community, because we have a community as well. So we are hosting this under the Relationship Builders Forum. So this is a community, and it's a community for both married people and the single people waiting for to find the love of their life. And all that we do on this platform is that we talk about love, we talk about sex, family, we talk about relationship as well. So it would be great to have you. And thank you, Amicable, for joining in from the United Kingdom. That's amazing. Great to see you. Great to see you. So it's always a pleasure to have people, join into this conversation. And we're still awaiting our guests. But before our guests come on board, I know that I can still recognize some names from previous events. If you joined the previous events, please tell us, what did you learn from our previous events? What actually came at you? What exactly do you take home from our previous events? We've talked about sexual expectation in marriage. We looked at
I think we started with sexual intimacy. And we brought Foundation for Family Affairs. And it was wow.
It was amazing. It was amazing. So and then we went on to look at sexual expectations in marriage. So and we had a couple of events for singles as well. We had the Before You Do event, and then we had how to choose the right
partner.
The right partner. Okay, so tell us what what you benefited from. Thank you, Beryl, for joining in all the way from Nigeria. It's great to have you, and great to see you again, although virtually. Okay, and we've got Pastor Adiele is here as well. We want to welcome you warmly. Thank you for joining in. It's always great to have people joining in. The thing is, we say that we're here for you. What we have, the information we have, we don't claim to be experts in this field. Some people say, oh, we're experts in the field. We say it cautiously, but we help people to navigate some of the challenges that they are likely to face in the course of their marital journey. So that's why we're here. We're here to support you. We're here to help you as much as we can. And that's what Relationship Builders Forum is all about. Okay, so we are waiting for our guests, but before then, please tell us, if you watched our previous live videos, tell us what you got from it. Tell us what you took home from it, because it will be great to have that. We want to have that sort of feedback. We're all here to educate ourselves. We're all here to make sure that we're getting the right knowledge, and that we are also working together.
Yeah, do you mind me sharing? Because for me, starting from sexual intimacy, one of the key points for me, based on what was said, is that you need to create a very wonderful or emotional safety for spouses to enjoy their sexual relationship in marriage. You have to create that emotional safe place. And that's what Chidi and Dr. Victor emphasized. You can't just enjoy your sexual life if there is no safe place where you feel like you can be vulnerable, you feel like you can be yourself, you feel loved, you feel cared for, and if that's not happening, then it becomes a blockade, it becomes a barrier to having that, intimacy through your sexual relationship. People can have sex. Sex, you can have sex with anyone, but that doesn't mean you'll be intimate. You can't be physically intimate because of what you just had, but from a point of heart-to-heart connection, deep level intimacy through the act of sex, there has to be that emotional bonding. There has to be that, freedom to express yourself and be yourself in your marriage. If that's not happening, then it becomes difficult. You just do sex for doing sex.
Yep.
Obviously, there are couples who they just do it because for a woman, she will be like, well, since they say we should just make love to our husbands, let me just do it for doing its sake.
Yes, absolutely. No, carry on.
Just
You seem very excited. So we're still waiting for our guest, guys. Please bear with us. I'm sure she's having some technical glitch, but she'll be joining us soon. Yes. So we're just, carrying on with the conversation just before she joins in. But I did ask, I said, what did you gain if you watched our last session? What did you actually take home? Okay. And if it's your first time on this channel, please do to subscribe. It's free. And subscribe to our content so you know when we put content out. Click the bell button so you're notified as well. So it's definitely free of charge if you're right here. Okay, so please tell us, what are the things you took on from our previous conversation, because today we're going to be looking at barriers to a blissful sex life. So it's not just barriers to a sex life. We want to, what are the things that can stop people from getting or having a blissful sex life. Okay, so if you've got comments, if you've got questions, or maybe something that we didn't quite cover in the previous lessons, please do share with us as well. So whilst we are waiting for more people to chime in, I just want to spotlight what Beryl has written. And she says, as a Christian single, I think it's a question. She's saying, what kind of expectation can one have knowing that we can't have premarital sex? This is a very good question. And I think it's a two-part question. It says, how will I know I'll enjoy sex with the other person? And am I going to take whatever I get? This is a three-part question.
Yeah, I think we need to take it one part
at a time.
Yes. As a Christian or Christian single,
yes,
what kind of expectation can I have? Obviously, as a Christian single, you should have the best moderate expectation for sex.
When you say moderate, what do you mean?
When I say moderate because some people have unrealistic expectation. There was a program we had a couple of years ago, and it was a kind of interactive forum. We asked people, how many times do you think couples have sex in a day, in a week, in a year? One guy said to us that he feels that couples have sex at least once every day. At least once every day. That for him, he's expecting that when he gets married, he should be having sex with a wife at least once every day. And then I probed further to ask, how long do you think a normal sexual episode lasts in marriage? He said maybe minimum of 1 hour or 2. So for him, that's an expectation. And by the time we use statistics to break it down for him, to say that obviously the average times couple have sex in a week, average 2 times in a week. And within the 2 times in a week, the average duration is about 30 minutes. 30 minutes max 1 hour. And he was surprised because for him, that was how do you go into marriage thinking about having it every day? It's not food, So that's what I mean by unrealistic expectation. Another way you can look at unrealistic expectation is where you want your wife to do or your spouse to do certain things that are beyond the person's area of comfort. For instance, you want some things that are unnatural. We talked about things that are unnatural last week, and one of which is anal sex. So if you've exposed yourself to some kind of weird content and you've seen things that are done and you expect that to be done within the confines of your relationship, then that's unrealistic expectation.
That's true.
You know, so that's what I mean. You have to have a moderate expectation, and you also have to consider the fact that it is a mutual thing. What you want, how the frequency, the duration may not align with what your spouse wants. So that's why you need to have that conversation, and not as necessarily before you get married, but it's an ongoing conversation you must have with your spouse to have the moderate expectation. But obviously, your moderate expectation is that you expect to enjoy it.
That's true.
You expect to have pleasure through it. You expect to, be satisfied because that's what it is. That's what I mean by moderate expectation.
That's true.
Now, the second part of the question is, no, we can't do it through how will I know that I will enjoy it with the other person? How will you know? Okay, let me use my personal experience. How did I know that I will enjoy it?
But it's your personal experience. It doesn't mean that will be everyone's.
Yeah, but you have to answer from the point of your reference point, which is my personal experience. How did I know I will enjoy it? One, I knew that physically I was potent.
Yep.
Or I am potent. I knew that I had sexual drive. And I knew that if I get married to my spouse, we had that conversation. And I knew that she too had sexual drive, and she too had, she was potent as well. So
because we had that conversation.
Because you had that conversation.
Yeah.
It is a conversation you must have, because you will be surprised that some people have gotten married and only to realize that the person they got married to is not there at all. You can't, for a man, the thing doesn't even stand. The person is aware that this thing doesn't stand because of maybe health issue or whatever.
Haven't disclosed
and
it.
The person did not disclose it in the name of religion, let's have faith. No, that's deception.
Yeah.
So it's a conversation you must have to be sure that before we get into this marriage, oh boy,
it's important.
Your sin in the rice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, don't mind me. I'm trying to be a bit will I say is what
jovial.
will I say? Jovial. Yeah.
Yes.
From a Nigerian context anyway. So that's how you would know. Then if you look at it the other way, you said again, am I going to take whatever I get? No, you're not going to take whatever you get. You need to know what you're going into. In fact, closer to that's why you should have premarital counseling.
Yes.
Where experts can come in and ask critical questions. Ask the person, how is your sex, your experience in terms of sex? You need to, because not everyone is involved in the issue of abstinence. Some people have had that experience before, so you need to ask them those questions, know where they are coming from, know how they need to transform and become whole for you guys to not to carry baggage into it. You want to chip in?
No, carry on.
Like
carry on.
No, so much of talking.
It's fine.
So be sure that this thing is fine. Even though within marriage, there could be areas that in terms of sex that you need to work on, because you don't know what it is until you start the process. If I will use my wife and I, for instance, we had an idea of what we would do, but we didn't know what it would be until we started. And the early phase wasn't amazing because we were all novices in it, and it's a build-up. You learn in the process.
That's true.
Whatever you did with Miss A or Mr. A will not be applicable to what you would do with Miss A or Miss B or Mr. B.
Yeah.
The reason is that our physiology is different. Our mindset, how we express ourselves is different.
Yes, and also the notion you have
and all of those.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you do something with someone as a single and you think, oh, I know how to do this, I'm an expert in this, and you carry it into the marriage, you'll be frustrated because the triggers, the area that could be pleasure points for the person you're married to may be slightly different from what works for the other person.
That's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that these are some of the things, but we actually have, you know, on our channel, we go through some of these things in turn, and we try also to explain these things because, like you said, everybody's situation is different. You know, everybody's experience is different because not everyone would have gotten married as virgins. Yeah. So some people have got a mindset before they came into the whole relationship thing. And even if you were not a virgin, some people came in with their own, because I can still remember when I got married, one of the things that I was told is that you're going into marriage, it's not about you. Just make sure that as much as possible, satisfy your husband. So if you want sex morning, afternoon, night, whenever it is, just make sure that you are available. Okay, so the emphasis was much more on my husband rather than myself. It wasn't a mutual thing, so it's one-sided.
Yeah, and I like what Nota said last week. He made emphasis on the fact that it is a mutual thing.
Yeah.
The man has to be a giver. In fact, the man should be more responsible when it comes to giving because women are wired to be receivers.
That's true.
Let's not go there. I think our
guest is here. So I'll be bringing on board Dr. Ezinne Okwulehie. And I'll let her introduce herself. So I'll just bring her on the screen. There she is. Hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Tamara. Good morning. Afternoon here.
Afternoon. This afternoon here as well. So it's good to see you. So for the benefit of our audience, please can you introduce yourself, who you are, tell them what you do as well. It'd be great to know the woman, you know, speaking to them.
Okay, my name is Ezinne Okwulehie, and I'm a practicing optometrist, but I also do other things like coaching, self-actualization coaching, and I also serve the Lord. I am not a sex expert. Let me let me put that disclaimer out, but I just love, you know, family. I love family, yeah.
Wow.
Good
to have you here. And I just want to say she is a transformation mind coach as well. I think she forgot to say that.
Yes,
she's very passionate about it. She's passionate about intentional thinking, intentional talk.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you say you're not an expert, when it has to be, I understand that no one is an expert because whatever is exclusive to us, and knowledge is so wide. We can't teach. You can only teach the miniature level of knowledge that you have. But I still remember last year, just a year ago, when 4 ladies, and you were one of those ladies, came on board to talk to men about what wives wish their husbands knew about sex. And
I remember.
It was super, super amazing. And based on that, I can also say that you have a strong knowledge and experience to share with our audience. And that is one of the reasons you're here today. So I want to our audience, she is knowledgeable. Good.
So we'll kickstart. Today we started the series looking at we called it the couple sex life exclusive. And we started off initially looking at sexual intimacy in marriage, and then we went on to look at sexual expectation. I think you joined in that conversation that was last week. Now, today we want to focus more because there were a couple of questions around why is it that people don't enjoy, you know, having a blissful sex life and also a healthy sex life as well. So we decided, okay, we're going to focus more on looking at or exploring the barriers to sex life or blissful sex life. And I want to start by asking you, you know, first of all, give us your own insight of, you know, what exactly is sex? And when we talk about, you know, having a blissful sex life, what does that mean? Before then we delve into talking about the barriers. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Gospel and your beautiful wife, my sister Marachi. Thank you so much for having me on. And I would like to say that this topic actually it's very necessary, very important at this time when talking about, because a lot of couples are actually not, they're just managing their marriages, and those who are not managing their marriages, in quotes, are managing their sex life. So they're like, okay, this is how it is. So let's just manage and then just move on like that. But that's not what God intended it to be. God intended that we enjoy our marriages and enjoy our sex life, because sex in and of itself is a cardinal point, an important part of the marriage institution. So if you're not enjoying your sex life, I think we are cutting ourselves short. So we should do everything that we can, get the information that we need to make that part of our marriages blissful. So when you talk about a blissful sex life, what is a blissful sex life? For me, a blissful sex life is it's not a generalistic term. So what do I mean by that? A blissful sex life for couple A and B is not what will translate to a blissful sex life for couple D and E. So a blissful sex life does not depend on a general overview, but it is customized to each couple. That said and done, I would now like to say that a blissful sex life is a sex life where the both parties involved are content and most often than not satisfied with each other. I would reemphasize most often than not, because I don't think it's possible to 100% be satisfied. So a blissful sex life is a sex life that the couple involved are most often than not content in each other and satisfied with each other. That's just an overview.
Yeah, leaning on what you said something about them being satisfied, being content, and then you said it can't be 100%. Can you explain that further? Because some people will want to have that satisfaction, and you're saying it's not 100%.
It's not possible. It's not possible to like every time you have sex, you are 100% satisfied. You get what I mean? It's not possible because of other external factors, right? So today you might, yeah, maybe one person is tired, but that person out of if how do I put it? One party is tired, and the other person is like, oh, I need this. But the other person, instead of saying no, I don't want this, psychs herself up or psychs his or herself up to come into that sexual encounter. And for some reason, maybe one person came faster than the other person, right? So these are the factors that causes this kind of experiences. So you can't say that every single time that you engage in sexual intercourse, you will always be 100% satisfied. I say 100% because there are different levels of satisfaction. In fact, if people who think that they should be satisfied 100% every time have exposed themselves to what they should not be exposed to, and have borrowed, how do I put it, borrowed a paradigm that is wrong. Because the people, I'm now diving into something else, people who engage in pornography. So they now believe that every time that they have sex, they should always be satisfied. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, basically.
Wow. Yeah, that I think that's a brilliant point. We'll still dwell a bit on this satisfaction thing. Can you maybe in terms of example, because we want to be as practical and as plain as possible. For someone, satisfaction could be hitting orgasm every time you go there. For another person, it could mean a different. Can you explain a bit details what you mean by satisfaction?
Okay. Now, for both genders, it's kind of a little different. There's this sort of dichotomy between both genders. So what one gender calls satisfaction is not what the other gender calls satisfaction. In fact, I was shocked one of these times while trying to improve my own sexual experience and also gain knowledge more about sex. I discovered, and I was shocked, that it's possible for a man to ejaculate without experiencing orgasm. I'm like, really? I always felt like, oh, if you just come, like you've experienced orgasm. So I'm like, so when my husband said, I'm saying, okay, I wasn't satisfied. And I said, but you came. He said, I didn't come anything. And I'm like, what do you mean by you didn't come anything? But you, as I don't understand, what do you mean by you didn't come? So I had to go, is it possible? I actually asked the question on Google. Is it possible for a man to release semen without, experiencing orgasm? And I was shocked. So all this while, I've been going around feeling very good with myself that my husband was experiencing orgasm. But contrary to popular belief, ejaculation doesn't translate to orgasm. Now, for a woman, like when you talk about satisfaction, most women equal satisfaction with orgasm, right? Equal satisfaction with orgasm. So there is no in between. If I didn't, you can enjoy a sexual encounter without being satisfied by a sexual encounter, right? They are two different things. So maybe the man treated you right, engaged in enough foreplay, but for some reason, you didn't experience orgasm, but you're not feeling bad, you're not feeling cheated, but you're not satisfied. These are two totally different things. While some others, they are feeling cheated, they are feeling satisfied, they are angry, right? They are angry because they don't feel like they are satisfied, they didn't experience orgasm. And then that brings me to the different types of orgasm, right? So you have what they call penetrative orgasm, G-spot orgasm, clitoral orgasm. And that is why, in fact, I'm coming there. Let me just say it. In fact, let me not come there. Let me just say it now. The number one barrier to a blissful sex life is a breakdown in communication. If you miss it there, forget about it. It's all over. There's no other thing that you will do that will work. When we get it right in communication, communication is like passing jam. If you get it right in communication, then you can begin to take other courses like GST and 101 and all that. But if you don't pass your jam, like you can't get into college, right? So if you don't pass, I'm talking about Nigeria now, there's a certain exams you take. So when it comes to a blissful sex life, first of all, get your jam form on communication. When you pass it, then we can now start talking about the courses like what to touch, where to do, hygiene and all that. So I would say it again, that the number one barrier to a blissful sex life is a breakdown in communication. I think I'm talking too much already, please.
Not much. Good enough.
Yeah, so a breakdown in communication.
Yeah, we'll come back to that communication bit because it's a broad concept.
Yeah.
And when you say communication, some people may not understand
what exactly you
that communication. But before we come to that communication, you were talking about phases of orgasm. And I think it's important to explain that to bit by bit for the men and for the women. Yeah. Because some women may not be experiencing anything and they think they're experiencing a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So
what they need to do.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So like we're talking about the different types of orgasm, and that's why you need to study your spouse. Study your spouse, not just study. When you get married, you study the way your spouse thinks. A lot of us do that. You study the way your spouse manages money, but most of us don't take time to study our partner's bodies because we overlook it. You just assume you know it. You study you know what your spouse likes. You know what she doesn't like. You know if that person is good with finances or not. But if we're to be asked, what exactly stimulates your spouse, where, when, and how? What are her trigger buttons, or what is his trigger buttons? A lot of us are oblivious to that fact. Nobody knows. We just expect that somehow we should know, and that's why I talked about communication. So the first year of marriage or the first few months of marriage, if you've not had sexual intercourse before, I believe it should be an explorative year and a communicative year. So you explore and you communicate. Don't just explore, because when you explore alone without communicating, assumption is inevitable. And where there's assumption, disappointment is also inevitable, because what you assume most often than not is not the reality, right? So as you keep exploring, you will now know why you explore with your fingers and all that. You now know, okay, then don't just, some people are so taken over. How do I even balance this? Let me talk about the woman first. So a man, most men are just, you just get into a sexual encounter and you're out there. Leave your eyes open. Please don't close your eyes when you're just knowing your spouse. While your eyes closed, you're not praying. Don't enjoy anything. Yes, that first time you guys just got married. Be intentional about knowing forget about your enjoyment. open your eyes and look at her facial expressions. Where you're laying your hands, if she makes a particular sound, then you know, oh, this place should be a place. You put it in your, what I would like to call your little book of sex capades with your spouse. So you put it there and you're like, okay, I will come back to that later. I need to study this part because I noticed that, you know, her facial expression showed that she enjoyed something. You take your hands off there, go somewhere else, and you notice that she's just looking. You say, okay, that one doesn't cut it. Then you go somewhere else, and then you know that, she had this kind of expression. You carry that information and put inside your little book. Then you go back to that first place that got you the reaction, and it happens again. You're like, no, this one is a confirmation, right? So you begin to study maybe her neck. Some people, you know, some men just go out because you just heard or you read somewhere that the earlobes are sensitive. I remember that one time my pastor then, when we had this kind of couples classic, and he was saying that one of the greatest shock of his life was that for the past 3 or 4 years since he got married, every time he wanted to make an advance on a sexual advance on the wife, he would go to her ears and lick her earlobes. And one day she just said, please stop it. He was shocked. What? Like, what do you mean stop? He said that thing does nothing to me. In fact, it's irritating. You just fill my entire ear with spittle. He said he had never been this heartbroken. For 3 years, he had been priding himself like, you know, he was doing something that was Napoleon never did, right? And then he was shocked. And that boy, and then in that couples classic, he said, so it got him to realize that they had a problem communicating. And he asked her, so why did you keep quiet for these 3 years? And she's like, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. It looked like you enjoyed it. Do you see what I mean? And usually this happens also to people who have had a track record of sexual escapades with other women. So what worked for woman F in your first year or your second year, or when you were 16 or 17 or 18 or 25, will not work for your wife in 2021, right? So don't use your experiences from your other sexual encounters and bring them and assume that all women are the same. No, not all women are the same. One woman will like her ear to be tickled, another woman will find it irritating. One woman will like her boobs to be touched, another woman doesn't want that. That's a sensitive area. Even in the same woman that likes her boobs to be touched when she's not pregnant does not want, don't go near my boobs when I'm pregnant. So that is why, even with the same woman, you actually study her in seasons, right? So what was exciting my mom when she was a young woman is not exciting her now that she has hit menopause. So this study is a lifelong study, not just for like taking, like even with the same woman, like it's so, how do I put it? Taking what has happened in your previous experiences into your marriage, you're shooting yourself on the foot. Because even the same woman you're married to is not even the same woman in the next 5 years, right? So you need to keep studying. You are never a guru. You are on a journey that you never arrive, right? So you keep studying and studying, and then you know what. So as you study, you now know if your wife hits orgasm via vaginal penetration or via clitoral stimulation. If you know that it's clitoral stimulation, then you stay there. Right? You stay there, or you learn the techniques. Either you use your hand or your sexual organ, learning the techniques by which you can create some tension between you and her on that region so that she can be satisfied or get orgasm. But don't just go and close your eyes and you don't know what is happening. Own your wife. She's your body. Study it is a map. Get all the things ready. Like study her, graduate. Go back, apply again, start again. Keep studying till you get to heaven.
Yeah.
Actually stuck with me is the fact that you said something about seasons. Because sometimes people, you know, when you get married initially, how your body and everything works, everything functions kind of very different. And maybe at that phase, maybe your job was less challenging, for example.
Exactly.
And now you've kind of navigated to a space where you're having more tensions at work, and your body, your hormones and everything wouldn't function that way. And in the fact that a woman is pregnant, that also can you know, affect how she feels or how she responds to certain things. I love that. I love the fact that it's important to identify the triggers, the pleasure triggers in your spouse, you know.
Exactly.
The sports.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't look at me. Yeah. So this study thing is not just for the guys. I think the women
Yes.
to study their body.
I was coming, sorry, I was coming there. I was coming there. That's why I was saying, let me talk with the woman and
Yeah.
then let's go to the man. What is good for the goose is actually very good for the gander also, right? So actually the communication and the study thing is for both parties. You guys enroll in each other's universities, body universities, sexual universities, right? That you never really graduate from. And then you study your spouse, study your husband. For some men, there are different parts of their bodies that they like to be touched. The same way, in fact, once if you're meeting, you just got married, both of your eyes, I will say it again, should be open. Please don't close your eyes. Like use your eyes. See it. See the way he groans. See whether if he closes his eyes. See whether if he, you know how he responds. If you touch here, do I touch his nipple? Does he like it? Do I play with his sexual organs? Does he like it? I think more than 90% of men like that one. So I don't know which one doesn't like that, right? So, you know, the truth is that there's really not so much to study about the man's body like the woman. You know, women, we are beautifully complex, right? So, yes, beautifully, yes. So, I'm not saying that the man's body cannot be studied, but, you know, just like our behavioral tendencies, even behaviorally, it is harder to study a woman than a man. If a man doesn't like something, he doesn't like it. You just know. A woman, you need to know if she's liking it today or not tomorrow. Most men, what they don't like today, they don't like next year, right? It's still, they don't like it, they don't like it. But the woman can say, okay, I don't like it today, but tomorrow I like it. It's also like a man gets the food. Usually we go to a restaurant, a man says, honey, what are you ordering? He said, okay, don't worry, I don't want that. And the man orders his food, and then she comes, I think I like this your own. Please let me taste. Like, and the man is like, hello, you were here when I was placing my order. Can you allow me eat my food? So, okay. Somebody's at fault here. So I think the same plays also in the other room. Let's put it the other way, in the other room. So there's a whole lot to study about a woman's body, and there are just few things to study about the man's body. So know what you both study each other and know what works for you both, right?
I think I just want to add to the point you made that we should also study ourselves. We should study our bodies. For the man, we also study what works for you, what's happening in life. Because sometimes what's happening in your life could be the problem, not actually your spouse. So study your body. If you're feeling there's something my wife knows about me, that when that happens, having that sexual relationship becomes, I don't do it the way I'm supposed to. So it is what I knew through studying my body. So I think we need to highlight that as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So now we talk about the barriers. You've talked about some while you were talking. Can you carry on with that, please?
Okay, so I will just start with the first one, like I said, communication, right? So we is everybody hearing me? I can't see you again, Gospel.
We're here.
Okay.
We're here.
Okay. So I'll start with the first one, communication. Now, this cannot be overemphasized. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Carry on.
It cannot be overemphasized. I don't know what I don't know until you tell me what I know. Did you get that?
Yes.
So I don't know what I don't know until you tell me what I don't know. So don't assume your spouse is not the Holy Spirit, right? Your spouse is not, some kind of clairvoyant. Your spouse is human. So if you like this, please say it. And this applies to a lot of people who grew up in Christian backgrounds, so we feel like it's a sin to talk about what you like, especially for the woman. The men who grew up in Christian backgrounds pick up quickly, even if they enter that zone shy. But in like 6 months, they've said, okay, let's do this. But a woman, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, is still cutting herself short because she doesn't want to appear loose and wild. And then doesn't want the husband to say, where did you learn this one? You're even asking for, are you still praying in my language, right? So you're cutting yourself short. So they don't say, they just keep quiet and just you know, no. If you like it done here, please tell him, please, I like, and then communication is important, but the way you communicate is even importanter. If there's no word like that, that's my own word, right? So if you want to communicate, don't say, why are you touching me like that? No. So don't always caution. You can also communicate by praising. So when he touches you where you like, he said, I like the way you touched me there. Don't keep quiet. So you communicate before sexual encounters, you communicate during sexual encounters, and you communicate after sexual encounters. What do I mean? When you guys are not having sex, sit down and say, what do you like? Sit down. When normal, everybody's head is cool. It can end in a sexual encounter. If you communicate, if you have such discussions, let me warn you, it might actually end in a sexual encounter. So be prepared. Don't start asking these questions when you're in the office or when you're in church. All right. So you ask, what do you like? You know, do you like this? And the person says, I like it here. I like both ways. So the man asks the woman asks the man, and then you keep it in that your tiny book, like I told you. You keep it there. That book, actually, it's not real. It's something that you have in your heart. And then during sexual encounter, some people are so silent. Do you know, for most men, when you talk, not talk, like it can also be a turn off. Not talking too much, but like, oh, I like it. It's a turn on. You make him even, I don't know how to put it. I think it's for both parties. I like it, but I know that most men like it. So don't just keep your mouth shut. If he's doing it right, he doesn't know. You're just quiet because you feel like if you talk, it will be sinful. Sis, bros, you're cutting yourself short. If you're enjoying it, please mourn. Release yourself. Don't hold it here. Say it so that he or she knows. That's communicating also. And then after the sexual encounter, while you guys lie down, you can say, oh, I just liked the way you did this. And he's like, really? You say, yes. What of the other word? You say, well, it's okay, but it was not as. So that's the communication we're talking about. So every day, and you're saying, I like this, I like that. And then your spouse takes what you've given to him in the form of communication and goes to work with it. So don't caution a spouse who you have not communicated to. You have no rights. Wow. Really.
I love some of the things that you're saying. I mean, you say it so simply, but these things are like the bedrock of having a blissful sexual life. Because a lot of us have been raised culturally, a lot of us have been raised with a mindset that you shouldn't be out there, you shouldn't be saying it, you know, whatever it is, just keep it to yourself. But we have the conscious, I mean, as women, we are always conscious about asking if he is, how are you feeling about this? And I think the point that you mentioned about communication is really important. You know, say it, sometimes even take the hands, place it where you want it to be. Place, you know, show. Yeah. Because sometimes they don't know, like you say, if you don't tell me, how would I know? And I know kind of echoes a lot that people are saying out there. You know, someone wrote a comment that I think is a very profound comment, that she's saying something, said, this is so insightful. I wish church counselors would learn the things and these things and teach couples, because it's something that I think that should be out there. And this is why we're here. This is why we're educating people, and we're kind of having this conversation together, you know, and there's a question to follow that up. But before I bring in that question, you know, one of the things that you said that I really love is the fact that you said we should enroll in each other's sexual university. And this has been echoed in this comment, like, get to know what your spouse loves, like the pleasure sports, everything about spouse. What will happen? What would I do to my wife to make her climax? What would I do to my husband to make him come? All of these things are things that we have a conversation. Someone also has reiterated what you've just said, that what you have been saying emphasizes a lot about communication in marriage. So very, very educative, very, very educative. And now let me ask this question, because it's in line with what you've said, you know, earlier on. Someone is asking, are men really patient to study their women's body?
Yeah, that question, it be as it gets. Right? I understand where that person is coming from. We have a lot of selfish men roaming around the streets and roaming around the bedrooms. So they feel they know it all, especially men who have had previous sexual encounters. So they're like, okay, I've been known, ask about my history, you know. Nobody wants to know your history, right? We don't want to know your history. Those are different women. I'm a different woman. You need to study me to know what pleases me, right? So if you're not getting it right with your woman, you are getting it wrong everywhere else. It doesn't matter. So a lot of men should be selfless enough to take this thing so seriously. You know, I have a friend who said when he got married, because he got married to his wife, he was a virgin when he got married and the wife wasn't. So he had apprehension, like he wouldn't be able to do it as well, you know, in the bedroom. And he said that, so for the first few encounters, it was very clumsy and very funny. In fact, he said he felt so ashamed of himself, you know, but that he said he took it as work. Let me put it the way he put it. He said, take it as a job. He said, when you take it as a job, you remove yourself. It's like, you know, just take it as a job. If your boss gave you an assignment to do, most men want to prove themselves in the office. Why not prove yourself in the bedroom? Not in some egocentric way, but just so this my wife. No, I will take you as a job. You study your wife properly. You understand your wife. And if that man has a mentor, maybe you're married to somebody here who is not listening to you, you are communicating, but that person is not listening. And that's why it's good to have mentors. There's somebody that your husband can listen to. Can you go talk to that person to talk to your husband? Right? Can you go talk to that person to talk to your husband? I have been summoned, let me even put it out there, by our spiritual mentors on this issue of sex. My husband actually went and told, I'm not joking, no, called one of us and said that this woman is denying me what I should. Sent him a long message. When those our spiritual mentors called me, he said, for your husband to send this, I know your husband very well. He is not vocal. Like, so for him to send this, by the time he sat me down and set me in order, by the time I went home, I went home a different person. So, and that was because I know that was after I had a baby and some years, I just lost all the, you know, but that was very selfish of me as at the time, you know, right? Marriage is a two-way thing. So you just find a way. You may not be 100%, but can you give 60? Can you give 50? Don't just shut down and say, no, it's not me, it's not my thing. Hello? Then why are you married if you cannot make sacrifices? So for that person who made in that comment, I just sense that your husband doesn't listen to you or whoever doesn't listen to you. Can you get somebody that can talk to him? And that's another thing. It's still the same communication. So some people feel I can talk to a counselor about everything, but not my sex life. That's so archaic. You can get a sex coach. They're actually Christian sex coaches. You can get a sex coach, you know, or a sex counselor. Maybe you feel somehow talking about sex to your pastor in your local assembly. Go meet somebody else and get that thing done. Don't cut yourself short. We have to enjoy this thing. It's something to be enjoyed and we enjoy it. That's the mindset to go into that with. And, you know, we're talking about communication. Like I said, just keep asking, keep talking. I told you never graduate. What works today may not work to tomorrow. And I like something you said, Amara, so profound. Communication actually is 30% verbal and 70% you know, body, like your body communication, but you know, and all that. So, you know, she said something about taking your hand. So after you have talked, please guide his hands lovingly, guide her hands lovingly. Say, oh, I just like the way you touch me there. And don't be harsh. Be easy on yourself and be patient with yourself. Rome was not built today. You can't be you know what I mean, an expert over the night. That's about
Wow.
Well, the person that said put a disclaimer, I'm single. Oh, I just asked the question generally. Many guys are impatient out here. So
Wow.
okay.
Is my what the thing saying and thinking back now, if I knew some things you just said before I got married or prior to early stage of my marriage, a lot of things would have gone well. The problem we have is we don't really have people we can easily speak to. You don't know who to trust, you don't know who to communicate with. That fear is there. When we got married, we didn't know what to do that first night, and we didn't know who to speak to because you know this issue is something. Will you ask your parents? No way.
That's embarrassing.
I had to call someone I know that had previous experience and he was married. So he told me just a sentence he made. He said to me, this is what you just need to do. And that was it. You know, so sometimes it's not like you're going to expose your world to someone to say it's not whatever. It could be just a question the person will ask you that will make a difference. Now, I want to ask you, you've said it sounds so beautiful, so wonderful. And for someone, a man who has issues he's dealing with, you have bills to pay, you've lost your job, things are not working, and your environment is so messed up, and someone is saying, make it beautiful, blissful. How can you deal with such barrier?
Okay. Okay, so these are the inevitable things that we must experience in our lives at some point in time. And that is why it's good to build a healthy sex life, such that when these things happen, it doesn't look like, you know, everything has been shut down, right? So you can understand with your spouse. That's why communication is also needed. Don't leave for too long. So at this period, I'm not really, you know, it shouldn't be for too long. For a day or 2 or 3 days, you can say, let me just get this in off my head. Because I don't know, for some people, okay, I'm coming back to that. Every time I want to say something, I'm trying to divert to something else. I don't know about other people, but for me, my mind and my sexual organs are so interrelated. I don't even know where to draw the line. I can't, you know what I mean? I'm trying to differentiate them and I cannot. And that is why if you don't treat me nice, don't expect me to be nice in the bedroom. Not because I plan to, like I said, okay, I will not be nice. No, automatically the mind tells my body to shut down. So if you like, touch from now till tomorrow, I'll be as dry as a wooden stick, because my mind, you know, I'm not happy, you know. But for men, it doesn't happen to men that way. So a man can be annoyed and even having sexual encounter. When he finishes, say we can meet next time. But for a woman, it doesn't work that way.
Great.
Yes, it doesn't work that way. But so, like now, for a man, it's so funny that what gets a woman to have a mental block that affects her body is not the same thing that gets a man to have a mental block. A woman now, emotionally, you don't treat her nice. You don't say the nice things to her. You annoyed her. You looked down on her emotion, or you trivialized something she was saying to you out of her emotion. She blocks. A man, whether you trivialize his emotions or not, does not concern him. He will have sex. But a man, let him just lose his job. Then you will now know that his mind is connected to his sexual organ, right? But for a woman who lost her job but is treated nicely, may not, I don't know if you guys are seeing the comparison I'm giving now. So what causes a mental block for a woman is a tangent to what causes a mental block for a man. And that's why we must understand each other. So a man's sense of manliness is very connected to his ability to provide, you know, and to get things and make sure that things are in order. So when there is chaos in his finances, especially, or that he has a project that he has not finished, usually it's difficult for him to, you know, like get that part of his body working properly. So what do? You guys discuss it. You know, so how do we remove this? We remove this, calm each other down, get to your place. You can get yourself. That's why you must be your spouse's friend. Because if they can talk about it, they can ease up the tension. And if they can ease up the tension, that other department can work better. But when they cannot talk about it, then they will carry all that tension. So when you talk with your spouse and you guys, okay, so how do we settle this? Oh, honey, don't worry. Can we just do this and do this and do this? In fact, let me call this guy. I think he has a solution. And then you call the guy and say, the guy has taken care of it, or he will take care of it tomorrow, or we've done this and done that. But can you talk about it? You ease each other off, and then you guys can now come back, re-energize to meet again. Do you see what I mean? So it still boils down to communication. Have you seen what is happening? Like everything rises and falls on communication. Everything just rises and falls on communication. And then you can also excuse your spouse sometimes. If your spouse says, I'm tired, and this is not their usual behavioral pattern to always say they're tired, say, this one she says is tired. Let me help her do something, you know. So for a man who is always complaining, my wife is always tired. She's always tired. She's always tired. What have you done to help her not to be tired? If you're just starting a family and you don't have the resources, or you have not gotten the right help, domestic help as at the time, you can't expect your wife, maybe she's even walking to work, come back, clean up, do all those things, and then come at the evening to still be the sexy wife right? It doesn't work that way. So ask yourself every morning I wake up, what can I do to make my wife or my spouse sexier for me in the evening or for herself? So it's okay. I can help. I said, don't worry, honey, I've taken care of the dishes. Even the wife self will be feel guilty. Like there's some things my husband starts doing. I already know that the night is waiting for me. I know that these things cannot be free of charge. Right? So you do that, you help her. You say, you do this, make her feel alive, make her feel, because usually for men don't need to feel sexy to engage in sexual intercourse, but a woman needs to feel sexy to be able to give her all in the bedroom. So if she's coming out from the kitchen, her mind is resonating with some woman working in some catering outfit or something. So she cannot just from kitchen all of a sudden, from a caterer, all of a sudden she now switches. She's now the sexy wife. No, it doesn't happen that way. She needs to take her time. She needs to have a bath and do all that. Right.
I mean, there's a lot that you have said that kind of resonates with me, because you talked about the mind. And for a woman, the mind and her sexuality is kind of connected. They are, interconnected. I can still, not just as an example, most times when myself and my husband, we're like, okay, we're, love making and all those kind of stuff. And I'm like, the initial time, I'm like thinking so many things. Oh, I have not done this. Oh, that one is not done. Oh, that one. My mind is buzzing, right? My mind is seriously buzzing. And I can always feel every single time he says to me, honey, forget about all of this and let's just focus on this. And I know it happens to me a lot of times. It's just
Be in the moment.
Sorry?
Carry on.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I said be present.
Yes, exactly. So being
be present.
Yes, exactly. So it tends to affect a lot. I love the illustration you gave about the kitchen, and maybe one thing that the men could do might be, to go out to the kitchen and possibly help. I don't know if you read this book that says sex begins in the kitchen. Sometimes it might be helpful. If that happens, and these are salient points.
Yeah, but I want to talk from a man's point of view. Don't always do things because you want something. Let it be a natural thing that your wife is struggling with you, and you naturally want to help. Not because you're planning that this night something is going to happen. That's like manipulative. You're in a way. I know it might work for a lot of people, but this is what I say. Be nice to your wife, be caring, be loving, and sex will become a natural expression.
Yeah,
it's exactly.
It's not transactional.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I know that some people do this, but if you're doing it out of love, why I said that is for people who don't have helps. Now, you must not do it yourself. That's another thing. One of the things my husband told me is that, let me say this. Now, for a woman who is always saying, okay, let me go this way. Can you get somebody to help your wife? Can you pay? In fact, I have a friend who the wife said, I don't need a help. He said, no, you need a help. You must have a help. There's no, you know why? He said, when I come back from work, I don't want to do anything. I want to just sit down and watch TV and drink juice. So I don't want you carrying a long face. You're not helping me. No. So he looks for a domestic staff for the wife. She has never gone out to look for domestic staff. He does it because he wants peace in his home. He wants his home amiable. And he doesn't want to work. So if you're that kind of man who is not domesticated, it's fine, no problem. Pay for somebody who can do those things that you cannot do. And I would like to say this. There is only one thing. Every other thing can be paid for. You can pay for a cook. You can pay for a domestic help. You can pay for a laundryman. You can pay for a cleaner. There's only one thing that you cannot pay for, and that's time spent with your wife or your husband in the bedroom. So please pay for every other thing and make yourself available for that which cannot be paid for. I don't know if I'm making sense. So for those traditionalists that say a wife must be in the kitchen, no, she must not be in the kitchen. Is the food nice? Yes. Is it good? Nice. So what shall it profit you to have a wife who is always in the kitchen, who is a homemaker and is not your sexual compatibility partner. You are not satisfied with your wife. But when you say, no, my wife takes care of the home, but taking care of the home can be paid for, can be solicited for. But taking care of your body and your sexual needs cannot be solicited for, cannot be, it cannot be that transaction cannot be done with any other person but your spouse.
To add
Do you
to
get what I mean?
I always say to my wife that in marriage, there are things you get for free. You're not for these things. You have already done what you need to do to enjoy it, because from God's point of view, you just need to get married. Now you're married, why not be intentional about enjoying it? Create space. If you have children and things are not working out well, you can book a hotel, have a week out and bring someone to look after your home. Make it happen. You know what happens is that sometimes people want to go out there and get something when what they are looking for is actually within their
house. It's in the house, right?
Create the spices around it to make it pleasant and exciting. That's what is missing, you know. And even
and then
you have work issues, you have financial issues, troubles, problems everywhere. Those problems will not cease. Life is full of problems. So what I try to do is, yes, I have work expectation. This is weekend. Work expectation, stay for now. Let me enjoy my life for now, because if I die today, they will find someone to do the work.
That's true.
Exactly. And you know what you just said? Okay, sorry. What you just said just made me remember something. Like, we need to bring a lot of intentionality to our sex life. You need to be intentional about your sex life. I told my husband something. I said, most families have a budget for school fees, have a budget for household running. What is your budget for romance?
Wow.
What is your budget for a beautiful sex life? There should be a budget for romance, and that budget is one night out in a hotel. It should be part of the budget. So when you draw your monthly financial expenditures, my question, I asked my I said, what's roses, flowers, the money to surprise her in the office, the money to just wake up and buy her a lingerie, you know? So these are budgets for romance. There should be a budget. So don't spend everything and come with your tired. That's after spending everything, then your sex life and your romance life, take out the crumbs out of that which is left. That's if there are any crumbs left. What you give in is what you get. The parts of your marriage you're experiencing the most success in is the part of your marriages you are depositing the most in. Look at it. Just go back and look at, when you go home, look at your marriage and say, where are we? If your children are well behaved, are those children that people want to emulate, check it very well. You are putting the most in that part of your marriage, right? So if the communication with your spouse or the love between your spouse, you are putting the most there. You understand? If your finances are doing well, you are putting the most there. So why not just be intentional with the romance, your romance and your sex life? And then it doesn't just happen. Nothing just happens. Everything is created, including a blissful sex life.
Wow. Amazing stuff that you're saying. In fact, I don't know what to say for. I love the fact that you say everything has got a budget. Like your house, your school fees. What is the budget for romance? Wow. All boils down to being intentional about
even if you don't have money for that,
time.
You can create
time.
You can create time. You can make it happen other ways. Carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just
you said something, sorry, Gospel. You said money, you said time. Money is a resource, time is a resource.
That's true. And time is money. Because when you work, you're paid for your time at work.
True.
So that's true, because sometimes we underplay the fact that it's not paid for. It's paid for because this is time. Time is valuable. You could spend your time. For example, we've got you here. You could spend your time doing something else. So the fact that
it's free. It's not free.
Someone is actually paying for it. Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Yeah, that also connects. Or do you want to?
Yeah. Before you ask your question, I also want to say to our audience, I know people are watching. If there's any question you want to ask, please write your questions on the comment section so that we can have now, because we might not have all the time to have questions and answer session. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a question here that I've got. It say, I just want to know, that's just drawing from some of the things that you've said. You know, what do you say about a spouse who talks down on each other?
Yeah, more like, how does it affect their sex life?
How does it affect their sex life? Yes.
Who talk down, as in,
Because
that's a blue.
Just do that. Some people have a habit of doing that. They have a habit of talking down on their spouse. I mean, male and female.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
during sexual process.
Yes.
For instance, you talked about being clumsy at the early stage. You talked about not having 100% satisfaction. If let me use ourselves for instance. If I come prematurely, my wife could react in two ways. One, she could decide to say, "Look at you, you can't even last for 15 minutes," or she could say, "Well, we'll try it another time.
Yeah, next time will be better." Something like that. Yes.
How does that affect one's sex life?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. And I would draw inference on something I said earlier, saying that communicating is one thing, it's important, but communicating, the way you communicate is much more important. So if your spouse doesn't satisfy you, it is not, let me break a paradigm. The problem in the bedroom is not the problem of one spouse or the other. The problem in the bedroom is our problem, not your problem. The moment you begin to see it as that, you see that two of you are working towards a goal, not one person tearing down the other. The moment you begin to tear down the other, you're actually digging the pit deeper. If it's for a woman or if it's for a man, much worse for the man, right? So you start creating anxiety. Nobody wants to appreciate the matrimonial bed or the sexual, like sex, with apprehension or anxiety. Will I do well? Will I not do well? So it becomes a vicious circle. Each sexual encounter increases the anxiety for the next sexual encounter, which also reduces the level of performance. So it just becomes, at that point, you need to go to therapy, both of you. At that point, you both need to go to therapy. So you must, like, if something, it comes earlier, so, oh, well, you may be, in fact, sometimes for me, I don't talk. My face will only just say that, I'm like, oh, because I don't want to talk. Like, talking it's better you didn't say anything, right? I'll just turn and hold my pillow, that kind of thing. I said, oh, don't worry, next time. And then, let me say this again. Everything doesn't end after you come. If you came before your wife, what happened to your hand if the other side cannot stand again? Did anything tie your hand? As in, does your hand also need an erection? It doesn't. That is why you must study your wife. So take, for example, you married a wife who orgasms through clitoral stimulation, right? After you've come, say, honey, don't worry. Then you get down to work and then use your hands till she comes. That way, everybody goes home happy, right? Then if you have a wife who orgasms both ways, either by vaginal or by, you can still use your hands. She may have preferred the one, but at least she'll be like, anyhow, right? I got something out of this encounter. So don't just end it and say, oh, can anybody hear me, please? Hello, can you hear me?
We're here, don't worry. Yes.
Okay. So don't just end it and say it's over. Because usually, in fact, actually, that's why I said people should read. It annoys me when, especially Christian couples, I read a lot when I got married newly. Google was my friend. But let me also but if you are dealing with trying to break off from pornography, then you have a problem reading too. Because once you read, you move that way. Once you Google, you know how Google is. Before you know it, you're in some places that you didn't plan to be, right? So you also have, so what I'm saying is that there should be a balance in your mind before you go there. So why people should read? Now, why does a man sleep after orgasm? Usually there is a hormone release that induces sleep. So imagine a man just comes prematurely and then that thing is so annoying. In fact, let me tell you, man, what happens actually when you're sleeping, your wife is sitting there and looking at you like this. It's like she could just slap you in the dream. I'm joking, guys. I'm joking, but I'm sure you understand the picture. So please, men, when that sleep is trying to do you and you know that your wife is still, better put your eyes open and try to make her calm, right? Use your hands, use your mouth, use whatever you want to use, but just try to get her, even if it's not to the highest level, right? Just try to make her calm somewhere. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did.
Yeah, you did. I know you're coding it, but it's okay. We can take it. I audience, we have an exclusive event for next Saturday. This one is not going to be open. This one is going to be for those who have the link. They are the ones that would
maybe would it be a good point for us to say it here? Maybe I'll share the details at the end.
Yes, we will. But the point I'm trying to emphasize is that the person coming is going to demonstrate some of the things Dr. Ezinne is talking about today.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need that demonstration to all really understand what the issue about.
Because she said something about a having a professional coach, but this person is a clinical physiologist. So I'm sure.
Great. Awesome.
Yes, she's a clinical. So we're not going to be putting it up open live. And that's the reason why we've done that, is because she would be very, very like explicit. And from YouTube.
Not just that. We don't want people who are not married
to get access to it as well.
Yeah, because there is a path we shouldn't cross.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have a question, because when you are talking, there are questions there. We'll come to them. When you are talking, I remembered my first encounter. During our wedding, it was marathon, traveling here, there, because I wedded in the north, Kaduna. So traveling from the east for traditional wedding, to Kaduna for white wedding, doing all the running around from Lagos to Kaduna, then back to Lagos with my wife. And I was ill, wasn't feeling well. And that actually affected the first early encounter, because I didn't know what was happening to me. And I was close to becoming anxious. Is this what is going to happen? I've waited for this for all my life. Now I'm married. I can't even do anything. Am I impotent? What's going on here? So it was a challenge for me. And thank God, I'm saying it to her, thank God my wife was very, very patient with me. And we decided to sort out what was the problem. Now, for a man who is having, or a man or a woman who is having health issue, how do you think they can navigate that barrier? Because it could impact on their sexual life.
Yeah, I know that that's a very sensitive topic, and that's why you will need a professional, truth be told, and your wife will need to be understanding. And that is why it's not, you need to have a level of self-control. Your only sexual partner should be your spouse, such that, because there are trying times, really. There are trying times where you can't have sex with your wife. So for some women, even when they are pregnant, and the man now gives the excuse, hey, I'm not getting, that's why I go out. That's not true. Why you went out is because you lack self-control, simple and short. If you can't wait for some time, and it applies to the woman too. Your husband maybe is diabetic or something is just happening, and you're saying, oh, because he's sick, and then maybe that place, his sexual organs can't function the way it used to, then you must go out. No, that's not right. So you guys should see your doctor together, see a professional, see what can we do? Can this be solved? How long would this last? These are the questions. When you ask how long, what you're trying to say is, okay, so that you know other things that you can incorporate into your sexual life that can at least, act as what word? How do I put it? Can just give him that space before he gets his health back. Things like oral sex, things like, foreplay, and all that. For those, you get what I mean? What can we do to manage our situation? There must be something that you can do. So usually then, my husband, when I was pregnant, and I'm like, I beg, I'm tired. I don't even, those kind of things. And he's like, penetrative sex is not the only kind of sexual encounter. Can't you kiss me? Can't you hug me? Can't you hold me? So a lot of people just say, okay, no, if that one does not work, then therefore, no, nothing can work. So at some point, I have to tell myself the truth that I'm just being very self-centered. Like, okay, if you can't do that, Why not do other things? Kiss him, massage him, do other things, that can give him a hand job. Right. These are the things that you can do, if he cannot go in there. Because sometimes even some women they're treating some things like candidiasis, yeast infection. At that time, you don't want to have sexual encounter. But there's certain things that you can do. So the question is being innovative as it concerns your sexual experience with your wife. So it's not because you started with missionary sex position, you must end with it in the next 5 years. No, be innovative. What happened to when the kids are out? Why must you have sex only in the bedroom? Why can't you have it in the kitchen? And then if he's ill, at that times of the day where he's better, he has his strengths, at peak. At the other times when it looks like he's down, study yourself. If, okay, in the morning, I know that he normally wakes up tired, grouchy, okay, I will target it somewhere in the evening or vice versa, right? But if it's a long-standing thing, then the truth is that, like I said, you need to see a professional, medical professional, sex coach, that's why these people are there, a clinicologist or something, just to get the best out of your relationship.
Yeah.
And with that, I don't know if I could just enter the second thing I wanted to say, or you have something you wanted to ask me.
Go on.
Oh, she's gone.
We lost her there.
Okay, so I'm sure she's going to come back shortly. I think possibly maybe her phone or something must have powered out. But we'll keep this conversation going. It's very interesting what she said about, what you can actually do to support, your spouse when he's going or she might be going through a season in terms of their health. And, I always say that, both of you are in it together. And it's, your happiness or my happiness is my husband's happiness and vice versa. So it's about innovating ways on how you can actually manage the situation. We face challenges in life. Challenges are all different, right? So even with the sex life, you can also encounter some challenges. Yeah. And let's not forget, because again, this kind of ties into the question that somebody is asking, but I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah, I want to also add that you need to be patient with each other.
Yes.
Even in the process. Yeah. That patient, you have to have that self-control and have that willingness to be patient with each other is really, really important, So carry on with what you were saying, Dr. Ezinne, before we lost you.
I love what you said, sir. Patience. Don't be too much in a hurry, and then just be patient with your spouse, because it could happen both ways. It may be you or it may be other person. So just be patient. Just be patient. The number two thing, like now that we've established that communication is, the foundation for a blissful sex life, I would like to talk about hygiene as a major barrier to a blissful sex life. I'm talking about that based on, I counsel people, for different things. And this is a reoccurring, decimal. Every time somebody's saying, oh, I don't just feel like having sex because every time I come back, maybe he's so sweaty, she's so this, she's so that. And like, it still boils down to communication. If you have been told as a spouse that one of the things that for me, one of my major aphrodisiacs is good smell. God, good smell, a good smell. I would just want to hug you and just remain there, but you can't just go around the whole world and come back and don't have a bath. That's the first no for me. Like, it just goes wrong somewhere in my mind. Now, it may be that I'm doing too much, but if you love me, really, if you love me, it's not too much to ask. You can take a bath at night, I'm not saying that every time you want to have a sexual encounter, go and take your bath. No. I know a couple that keep mints at every point in the house. It's on the dining, it's by the staircase, it's at the in their bedroom, it's in the shower, it's everywhere. When we asked them, he said, because I want to be able to kiss my wife at any time. I want to see her in the kitchen and be able to. So I always want to have a fresh breath. So take your personal hygiene very seriously, especially for those that insist on things like oral sex. You can't be asking for oral sex and you don't have personal hygiene. That's wickedness. Really, that's wickedness. I think last week I made a comment about a couple that told me, and like the husband is complaining that the wife doesn't like oral sex. So I called the wife, wanting to know if it's a Christian view or her personal view. Does she feel like it's a sin? Or she said, no, she knows that it's not, that she doesn't count it a sin, but it's not just something like she can't, that all her life she doesn't even imagine it. Like, why would she? No, 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 no. So looking at her talking to me, I'm already seeing the disgust. So I'm like, this particular problem will be very long. So as I'm asking her, okay, and then she goes, I was just listening to her in that ranch, and I'm like, and it's not even as if he takes care of himself. I just felt like that's it. That's where I wanted to go to. So I'm like, he doesn't take his bath in 2 days as a roll, or in 1 day at a roll, or something, or just some funny thing. And doesn't clean up there. That's unfair. Take your personal hygiene. You can even, I don't even know how well to say this, but you should be neat down there. Use a shaving cream. Use a shaving stick. Scrub everywhere scrubbable. There should be no one hair hanging from somewhere. That's not nice at all. That's not nice. And for the woman, take probiotics. What do I mean by probiotics? Things like yogurts. When you take antibiotics as a woman, oral antibiotics, it tampers with your vaginal area and then introduces another new set of bacteria that will cause your vaginal area to stink. So it's not even like you're dirty, right? But you just need to know that the bacteria there needs to be balanced. If not, it will go haywire. That's why you should not use soap. Water, it's enough on your vaginal area. I know we are all adults here, so I'm saying this. So make sure that you're not smelling fishy down there. And also for the man, make sure that you're not also smelling meaty down there. Just smell nice. Smell nice. I'm sorry I'm being so, but if I don't say it like this, you may not understand, right? So don't allow yourself. And then you also have, for the woman and even for the man, there are things called bikini sprays. Let me even say it. Get it. It's not to be sprayed in your vagina, just around your bikini line, both for them, so that if somebody is approaching you, there's an incense that is welcoming, not an incense that is repelling. Please, so that your wife can want you, your husband can want you. Take a bath. All these things. Cleanse your mouth, wash your mouth, go to see the dentist. See the dentist, because usually some of you say, my wife doesn't like kissing me. She doesn't like kissing me. Let me tell you the truth. You don't have a good dental hygiene. It's me that is telling you for free. Go and see the dentist this week, and you will come back and give me the prophet's offering. I am telling you. I'm telling you for free, or is my husband, whichever way. Please take your dental hygiene,
Seriously. Wow. Amazing.
Yes.
Oh, wow, we can go on and on and on, but that's serious stuff that we need to talk about, because these are issues, little foxes that ruin the whole thing.
That's true.
You have to take it seriously.
So are there other things, because I want to, first of all, I want her to finish before I ask the questions, because someone has asked a couple of questions on the chat, but are there other barriers? So apart from communication, and apart from the one you've just mentioned on having a good hygiene, are there other barriers to a blissful sexual life?
Yes, engaging in pornography. Another barrier to a blissful sex life. Because you did not marry a porn star. If you wanted to engage in pornography, you'd have gone to Hollywood or wherever they get them and marry a porn star, so that in your house, people can be, you get. So when you engage in pornography, what usually happens is that you have a false sense of expectation. So you are watching what maybe was acted over maybe 3 minutes, elongated, edited, some parts cut off. You're just seeing what people want you to see. And then you expect your husband or your wife to be Jackie Chan in bed, really. So you come into your bedroom with an expectation that you borrowed, a borrowed expectation from a pornographic site. That way your spouse will never satisfy you. Do you know why? Your spouse did not take those things that they took. Your spouse also did not have the opportunity to have some parts cut off from her sexual experience that were not nice and showed you the only good thing. So when you repeatedly engage in pornography, and let me just say this, pornography and masturbation are twin siblings. They are siblings, they go hand in hand. When you engage in pornography and masturbation, medically and scientifically proven, especially for the man, you will start having premature ejaculation. In fact, if you go to see a doctor about premature ejaculation, one of the first questions they ask you is, do you masturbate? Right? So you see how this can cause a hindrance to a blissful sex life. So you have a borrowed expectation that is not real. And then you take it into your bedroom and you're angry with your spouse. And then after being angry with your spouse, or you go in and then maybe your spouse came before you, or maybe the sex was boring, you enter the bathroom while the spouse is on the bedroom, and then you pretend like you're going to ease yourself or use the bathroom, and then you use a pornographic website to actually get to orgasm, right? Or you do it before. Some people even do it before. What usually happens for those that do it before is that when you're...
Oh, we lost her again. I'm sure she's gonna come back. Well, this is very, very, very interesting.
It's getting quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's irritating. So it's like when you have enjoyed ecstasy with your pornographic website, then somebody starts touching you. It's almost like you almost slap the person. So you don't see it.
Can you go back to where you started talking about doing it before, because we lost you for about 10.
Okay, so I'm saying like doing it before, those are engaged in it before. So you maybe in the daytime you've had multiple orgasms from a pornographic site, and then your spouse comes back. Once your spouse touches you, it's like it's so irritating. You can't handle your spouse because you are satisfied. False satisfaction, actually. Let me reiterate that. And with that, so there's nothing your spouse will do, absolutely nothing to satisfy you. The more you repeat that experience, the more horrible your sex life with your spouse becomes. So as much as possible, if you've involved yourself in it, you need to wean yourself from it slowly. You need to wean yourself from it and then how will I put it? Have a mindset in engineering. Take up those images, because what usually happens is every time a behavior actually starts with a thought, and that thought creates a mental pathway. When that thought creates a mental pathway, it affects every other thing in your life. So the first time you watch pornography, it just entered your brain as a thought. The more you repeat, you engage in that, it creates a mental pathway. Once it creates a mental pathway, it affects your behavior to your spouse. You will start feeling your spouse will now start looking irritating. So one of the major barriers to a blissful sex life is pornography. Please don't do it.
Wow.
Please don't.
I wish that singles here, who have engaged in this kind of stuff, should use the time to break free from that habit. Like you said, creating that pleasure pathway can actually impact on your performance in marriage, because you have an escape route. If you're not getting, you always want to revert to the normal. So please, if you're in it, take yourself out of it. We have people that can help you. This is what we do. We are open to support you. We are to help you if you need help.
That's true. That's true. So you've just mentioned, just to recap for who maybe probably were just joining us or have been listening, the first one is communication as one of the main barriers. So that was number one that we identified. Number two is hygiene. Okay. And then the third one is pornography. Fantastic points. You've kind of covered the crux of the issue. And I don't know if you want to add more to that, or is that it?
It's just...
I think she has said a lot of things in the course of talking about communication.
Okay, let me add one to some of the things she said. Something I drew from what she said is mindset. So the culture, how people are wired in terms of mentality is, I think, is a huge block.
Yeah, and this culture you're talking about also linked with religion.
Yeah.
Because from a religious standpoint,
there
are things you don't talk about. There are things you don't even think about. The first time I started talking about sex, I know how much barrier the religion...
I know.
And still, because especially with this series, it's been a bit like, I thought you guys are believers. I thought you guys are
You're
Christians.
doing too much. And sorry, this one is so. In fact, let me just say this. I want to thank you so much, Gospel and Amara, for what you're doing, because what we don't learn in church, we are going to imbibe outside. I didn't even say learn. We will just imbibe it outside and imbibe it the wrong way. So you're doing such awesome work, such good work. And the truth is that most of these Christian men or Christian spouses who are caught, in adultery, in fornication and all that, if you trace it down, they were just looking for something that they could get, but the church told them they cannot get or they should not explore. So they met somebody, and that is what brings me to the fourth point. One of the things that causes, as a barrier to a blissful sex life is lack of innovation. We don't innovate. We don't innovate. And when you don't innovate, you would never fulfill. Why can't you ask your spouse, what's your sexual fantasy? What's your sexual? And you'll be shocked what you will hear. Someone might even tell you, I think I would like to have sex in the car one day. Is it bad? Oh yeah, you understand what I mean. And these are what in the other side, of the divide, in the kingdom of darkness, this is what they do. It's your wife, it's your spouse. Be innovative. Don't always let everything must be this way, this way, this way. Don't make your life boring. Be innovative. Ask, what can I do to spice up my sexual life? Some of us are so boring. Like if your wife owns an office to herself, or your husband owns an office to herself, who told you cannot have sex with your husband in his office?
Because that's what it was in the movies,
Who told you? Yes, because really, you are doing, it's funny, but in that same office, there's this secretary somewhere that is willing to do that for free. That is willing to do that for free. And then your wife comes into your office and then hugs you or maybe plays with you in not inappropriate. What I mean that there's no inappropriacy when it comes with your wife, but you get what I mean. And you're like, this is the office.
Yeah.
Are you joking? Are you joking? But that same person, a secretary does that to you, be smiling. That's hypocritical as far as I'm concerned. You should be able. In fact, there was a video I saw, and a lot of people had. I don't know if you people saw it on Steve Harvey's page. I don't know if you saw that video about. Did you see it?
Yeah.
About a lady who was saying that she got up saying her husband touches her. Oh gosh. What did she even say? That her husband, each time she wants to worship or minister or something, he hits her butt or smacks her, and that she's feeling uncomfortable and all that. So my question is he doing it in front of the church? No, right? So these are what people are looking for, and they are complaining. Are you joking? So that lady, as far as I'm concerned, is not innovative. You get, so the way you want it done in 1960, you want it done in 20, when your spouse is already in 2025, right? And all the devil needs to do is to put a lady that is in 2025 in your spouse's weakest moment and create a scenario. Boosh, everything goes off. So every time, be your spouse's temptation 247.
Yeah.
Be your spouse's temptation. Be sultry. Let him see some. Oh gosh, I don't know. There's a way I want to put it. I feel like.
Yeah.
Be sexy to your spouse.
Yeah.
If there is no sin there, please, there is no sin. Christians, we need to talk about and be innovative. And when I say innovative, please let me put a disclaimer. I'm not saying all those things. Those crazy things that are happening now. Crazy stuff.
Somewhere.
Crazy stuff. What do we call those things? Pain, inflicting pain, and all that. Please, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, just be innovative. That's
wow. Wow, amazing. I love all that you've said and how you have said it. Very practical and so easy to sort of understand. Now, there are questions on what you have mentioned, in places. Now, I'll start with the immediate last question where you talked about shaving creams and shaving sprays. Someone is asking, he says, are shaving creams healthy? Are they not a precursor to cancer? So,
okay, sorry, for the shaving creams, please, not your vaginal area. I don't advise that. For me, I don't even use shaving cream. I just use a razor that doesn't cause bumps. Just use on your armpit, not for your vaginal area, please. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying. We've also got another question from Lynn, and she's asking, what can you say about older couples who may have drifted apart sexually? So you were talking about, people spicing up, but then there are people who are older now and they've drifted off. Can there be revival in the bedroom?
Revival. Always. As long as there is a marriage and there is a bedroom, it can be revived. Just give me a bedroom. I will show you that revival is possible. Give me a bedroom and give me two willing couples who are not dogmatic in their ways. Anything can be revived, right? Anything can be revived. It just takes a willingness and, like you said, mindfulness, mental re-engineering, mindset re-engineering, and then it can be revived. It can. I know it sounds simple, but let me also put a balance. It will require work, real work, right? It will require work. It will almost be like you're writing jam again, right? But it can be revived. It can be.
Okay.
It can be.
So obviously what you're saying, the same way they drifted apart is how they would find their way back.
Yes, except usually when people say the bedroom, whenever you see a bedroom that cannot be revived, there are other underlying factors, and at that point, it's not even about the bedroom. In fact, the bedroom is actually the last place you want to look at. You want to take care of their communication. You want to take care of emotional abuse. You want to take care of physical abuse. There are a whole lot of other garbage, and the bedroom is just at the base. But when you see a couple who respect each other, who love each other, who are emotionally there for each other, it doesn't take anything. The bedroom can be revived.
Wow.
Well, I think that's what this program is about, to help people who are struggling in their sex life for whatever reason to revive that area of their relationship. And then for those who are, everything is okay, well, we believe you can take it to the next level.
Elevate
There's always room for elevation.
Yep.
In fact, from my point of view, I've realized that the more you go in this direction, the better it gets.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think you've gotten to the peak of it, but after a year, you say, "Oh, we've gotten to another level."
Yes.
That's what we want from our audience. So thank you, everyone, for listening to us. And I will also say thank you, Dr. Ezinne, for sharing wealth, experience, and knowledge.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you've said it all. So I would just ask Dr. Ezinne, do you have any final words for our audience listening today, please?
Okay. Well, I think I've said a lot already, but I would just like to, build on the last thing I said, that anything can be revived. Anything can be revived, but it starts with the mind, right? It starts with the mind. If you can get it here, you can get it anywhere else. But if you don't agree that it can be revived here, it can never be revived outside. So for you, for the couples or people online listening to me, and you want to get something better, you want to spice up your sex life, and you want to move to the next level, say, from here, see yourself enjoying the sexual encounter. Imagine yourself enjoying the sexual encounter with your spouse, because there's something called the power of meditation. What you focus on is what you experience. If every time you close your eyes, what you see is a lousy sex partner, or a very disappointing sexual experience, that is what you will get. So every time you close your eyes and imagine your spouse, please imagine that the sex will be good continuously for both parties, both for women and for men, over time, and employing all the things that we have said, making a budget for your romance and your sex life, communicating effectively, being innovative in the bedroom, and practicing a high personal sense of hygiene. Man, the sky is only a starting point. We will actually get to cloud 9 and surpass it. Thank you, everyone.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing having you on this very conversation. And I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you more. Thank you more.
To our audience, you can also share your feedback to her thank her if you want. Tell her how this conversation
has been.
We also want to hear from you. Want to know from you what you've learned. You can put it down in the comment
chat.
Yeah, comment section.
Yes, please. And well, I would just want to, because now we're about to wrap up, but before we go, I would want to tell you about our upcoming event. And this event is how to satisfy him or her. And that will be next week, a day before our anniversary, because August is usually our anniversary. So we have like series of events for singles and couples. Now, we are going to be having a clinical sexologist, Mrs. Cecilia Aguch, will be joining us. But this event is not going to be an open event, guys. So please, if you want to attend this event, we have put a link in the section, the comment section as well, of this particular live event. So please click on it, enroll, and then we'll get your contact and get in touch with you personally. Okay, so please do register to attend this event. The only reason why we have kept this event as, you know, non-public or whatever is because it's going to be very, very, very explicit. So that's why we have decided to keep it private. So we want to say thank you, and you've got loads of thanks on the chat. Amicable is saying thank you. She's saying I learned a whole lot. Thank you so much, Amicable, for that feedback. Fantastic. And then we've got Foundation for Family Affairs saying it has been an enlightening session. Thank you for putting this together. Dr. Ezinne was great. And then we have Beryl as well saying fantastic session, a great session. I learned a lot. God bless you all. So God bless you too all. It's been amazing, amazing, amazing having you all join us today. So Dr. Ezinne, if you don't mind, please could you hang back a little bit? Don't log off. And I want to say thank you to all our attendees. It's been an awesome time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day ahead. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.